talk about things that you lost and then you found.
Yeah. Did you lose a dolphin?
Yeah. So we went out and we said, right, we want to watch the dolphins. They do boats. Yeah. Bloke said, yeah, we've seen them all day. Yada, yada. Brilliant. Went out, did not see a dolphin. Right? Got back in the harbour. Bloke said, I think there's one there. And he sort of pulled away and all of a sudden, boom, they all come through the harbour. Like just jump, and they were all everywhere. And you're like, got me dolphins. Feels good, doesn't it? We call that the magic of maybe, you know.
The magic of maybe?
Yeah. I've got to bring some relevance to personal development in here.
Who calls that?
People.
Oh, I thought it meant your family and your
no,
your brother's mates. Let's coin a phrase while we're here.
That's the magic of maybe.
So expectation, not knowing if you're going to see this thing that you want.
You get like I can't remember the exact number, so don't quote me on it, but something like a 300% increase in dopamine when you don't think something's going to happen and then it does. That's why it feels so good.
Wow.
There you go. I can't remember what the number is. It's a magic of maybe. The best analogy is, for me, if you are a golfer and you're really good,
yeah,
you smash it, you get on the tee, you expect to smash it down the fairway.
Yeah.
It feels quite good when you do.
Yeah.
If you're an all right golfer and you're not really sure you're going to smash it down the fairway, then you tonk one and you smash it down the fairway, it feels fucking amazing.
Better than if you were expecting
it feels better than if you expected it because it's the magic of maybe. Your brain's like, I'm not really sure it's going to pan out. Well, it's panned out great. Maybe. Maybe it's going to, maybe it's not.
Right.
There it is. Loads of dopamine. Live the dream.
Wow. What is dopamine?
Oh, I don't. How do you explain that?
Well, I don't know.
You need a neuroscientist to come on and explain it.
Well, it's all over the, like, it's all over my Instagram feed,
of course
basically.
It is. People probably telling you to do a dopamine detox. Not that you can detox dopamine, that's impossible. You can like resensitize
It's a neurotransmitter,
yourself.
Isn't it?
Yeah, really, I suppose people think of it as your chief reward chemical.
Okay.
So you get a little squirt of it as like a reward, but also it's your brain's chief, I think, focus chemical. So what releases a lot of dopamine you'll pay attention to.
Yeah.
It'll drive your focus because it feels good. So they also call it the drive molecule, don't they? Because it's what when you're feeling driven.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dopamine going on, which is I think is it Huberman who talks about this a little bit? Cold showers and stuff, they give you a steadier release of dopamine throughout your day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which also stops you looking for it.
Mm.
You know, you think when you're just sat in the kitchen, you go to your phone, that's often a little bit of dopamine.
Yeah.
Give me some dopamine. Tiny little
That's what we were talking about in the last episode about checking off.
But it makes you better at focusing. So if you're doing like a word search, does anyone do them anymore? And you can't find a word. And then you find one.
Yeah.
You get a little squirt of dopamine.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
But then your brain is primed to recognise more patterns. So you notice you go on a bit of a run sometimes, don't you? Oh, there's one. Because you're getting more dopamine. It makes you better at recognising patterns. You then find one, you get a reward. So it's like, whoa.
Okay.
It's driving my focus.
But can you have too much of it?
I don't know. I'm not the person to ask that question to. But I would say we become less sensitive to dopamine, don't we? Because we're bombarded with it everywhere, is why I would look at that. And also it's quite easy to come by because immediately on your phone. I suppose one of the sentences that's quite useful is, get your dopamine on the back end, so to speak. So a lot of things that are quite rewarding, you have to dig in a bit, don't you? And then maybe
exercise.
you get the dopamine on the back of it.
Rather than sugar or food or beer.
I suppose we're always kind of, it's quite easy to come by because stimulus is everywhere now, isn't it?
Okay.
So it's just there. But it's a big thing on social media because people just jump on the bandwagon and they just copy and paste another person's social media. So they take an Andrew Huberman post, edit it a bit and lob it in there and slide and be like, you dopamine's terrible kind of thing. But it's like, well, it's just...
It's a thing that we all need,
It's a thing, yeah. But I suppose when you're bombarded with it all the time, you become less sensitive to it. So sometimes, here's a little thing. So say you're doing some work, you're practicing. It's quite mundane, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You do it a lot. Then you have a break.
Yeah.
So you scroll your phone.
Yeah.
Well, that's more exciting for your brain. You get a lot of dopamine.
Yeah.
You come back. That task is now more boring to your brain, isn't it?
Okay.
That task is now less dopamine fulfilling, I suppose, is what you're trying to say.
So Are you saying that you shouldn't do that then?
Yeah.
Between when you're trying to learn something or practice something?
Yeah, if I'm doing some work and I'm like, I need a break because, you've got to step away, the worst thing I can do is go load my brain with dopamine because
do nothing.
Because it makes this less interesting. So I struggle to pay attention to it now because it's less interesting to my brain because I've just gone and got some. I've just watched, like we said in previous episodes, I've just watched somebody like some cat jump out of a window and land, and I've just watched a crocodile like try and eat a flipping rhino or something. You're like, oh my God, And then I was like, oh, hang on, I got to write some posts. So it's less interesting. So I think people, we do in our stuff, sometimes we say, hey, get off social media for a week.
Right.
Just to try and recalibrate, I suppose is the word we would look for. But yeah, if you don't want to use your phone between practice sessions because you're just making your practice less rewarding, really.
Okay. What have you done any, you talked about flow a lot. Now you've studied flow a great deal. Have you learned anything along the way about practice and how to practice? Not necessarily about a musical instrument, but practicing a skill or, is there anything that works or anything prevents you from practicing well, other than the basics like being tired or?
It's general basics of anything, I think.
Do you know about myelin?
No, go on, tell me.
So, I'm going to get this wrong because I can't remember it properly, but myelin is, I want to say it might be a protein or it's something, and it wraps itself round
keep going,
the myelin sheath.
Yeah.
Every time you do an action, the synapses or the whatever it is in your brain that's working on that, it doesn't know if you've done it right or wrong. It just knows that you've repeated it.
Yep.
So myelin, what it does is when you repeat an action, myelin wraps around that, whatever it is, neuron.
I know where you're at. But
do you know what I mean? So this is why practicing so slow is so important, because most people, because they want to get better quicker, they're in a rush, right? They practice something quickly and they make a mistake, right? Now, if you make that same mistake twice, your myelin doesn't know if it's right or wrong. It just knows, he's repeated that. Let's wrap ourselves around this part of the brain.
So you're saying, practice
That's why
slowly?
Practicing slow is so important from a kind of like a biological standpoint, because your brain doesn't know if it's right or wrong. So if I'm learning a scale and I do it wrong 2 or 3 times in a row, it's now even harder to unlearn that.
Yeah. It's much like, we'll come back to practicing, but it's much like the brain doesn't differentiate between good or bad, does it? In many ways. Meaning like what you pay attention to, it gives you more of.
Okay. Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, so I always say to people, it's a bit like, your mind's a bit like your social media feed. Like if you start giving attention...
to chocolate.
Well, no, if you start commenting on people's stuff, like, oh, you're a dick, oh, this is rubbish, you're going to get more of it, right?
Yeah. Was that you then?
Yeah, they start bringing up more of that kind of content because it's just saying while you're engaging in it, you must... They don't know what you're saying particularly, but your mind's exactly the same. What you engage in, you see more of.
Energy flows where the mind goes or something like
focus
that?
Where focus goes, energy flows.
That's it.
Yeah. But what it really is, I always think if you understand how social media algorithms work, you probably can understand how your mind works.
Right.
The more you give attention to shit, the more shit that your mind presents to you, the more you filter your reality based on those preferences, so to speak. But coming back to learning, I suppose the only thing I think is, hey, if you want to learn well or focus well, it's useful to prime yourself before you do it.
Okay.
Like a bit of movement.
Oh, okay.
Like that's good, like prime yourself. So it's like, might call it a performance primer, 5 minutes of movement, a little bit of a tiny snack if that's your thing.
Okay.
A little bit, 5 minutes of breathing, get into it.
And how long do you suggest a practice session should be?
Oh, it depends on the quality of the person. How long can you focus for?
I'd say 15 to 20 minutes max.
Yeah, so I always, hey, the quote on my wall is frustration is the path to progress. I think if you can concentrate to the point of frustration, that's when you can take a step away.
Yeah.
5-10 minutes.
And you get...
Come back to it. But it's literally 5-10 minutes all you need.
Yeah.
Back to it. In any kind of work we do with people teaching focus, entrepreneurs or whatever, business owners, is you want to try and start with 90-minute blocks of focus and then build to possibly, I think, gold standards like 3 hours.
But in short spurts.
Well, it depends on, sometimes like you might sit there and you might go, wow, I've been here like an hour and a half, and you might just take 5 minutes away, come back.
Yeah.
But that 5 minutes is a change of environment. So it's not a phone, it's like walk outside, come back. We walk outside, come back. Basically between takes in here, walk outside, come back, walk somewhere, grab a drink, back. But not scrolling phones, because that's not going to be useful for you. So I think if you, in focusing something, you just need to, well, I would say like go dark, create the space to focus, remove distraction, ward off disruption.
Yeah.
It's massive. Put your phone away, become uncontactable for 30 minutes. Bit of movement, get down to it. Know exactly what you're going to do. How often do you turn up to practice and go, well, what am I going to do? Know what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do in this 30 minutes. I'm going to practice this. So you walk in and go, bam.
I had a teacher once who used to say, it's really important to know before you start practicing something what you think the end outcome will be on that, not in 6 months' time, but that day. Like, you need to have an idea of what it is you want to be able to do at the time you finish your practice session. Because if you don't have that, you're going to end up going off in all kinds of directions and doing that noodling.
You need a clear goal.
Yeah.
And you need expectations. Like, God, if you don't have, I call that a definition of done.
Okay.
Like, what's the definition of done?
Right.
Even if your day, have a definition of done. What's done? When's your work day done? Have a definition of done. And then,
Stick to it.
yeah, that's done. I'm off. I said done a lot there.
Yeah.
Done, 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 done. But
Dun, dun,
how
dun,
often do we
dun.
not have a definition of done? We just got a long list of stuff that needs doing and we just rattle through it all day or week. It's like, what's your definition of done?
What is your definition of done?
Well, it's different every day, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you have a cut-off point where you just think, right, I'm not going to work now?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, because I've got to pick someone up. So I've got to pick a kid up.
Yeah.
Like a forced boundary. But I think if you do, my day will be mapped. I know exactly what I want to get done. And if it's done, I can finish.
So what if you get it done and you're on a roll and you're like, oh, I could do another hour here?
Yeah, I sometimes do that.
Right.
But I suppose my day is more time blocked in the sense of like, I am here, I know what I've got to do in these times,
Yeah.
but also I know that I need to be gone by 5, which creates that nice little window of time where you can't, because otherwise you're going to be late. You can't be late to pick a kid up, can you? So I can't just leave them there for an hour on their own. So it's like, I've got to be there, which is a nice way of actually forcing a bit of focus out of you.